What advice would you give to young people? You have an exceptionally successful career. You came from little, made a lot. What advice would you give them?
Love your life, right? Find the things that you can enjoy. Be curious. You don't have to have all the answers when you're 12, 15. I get emails from 13, 15-year-old kids, right?
What do I do?
What do I do, right? I feel like I'm being held back. I'm like, at 15, you feel like you're being held back. But just be curious, because you don't have to have the answers. You don't have to know what you're going to be when you grow up. I'm a hardcore believer that everybody has something that they're really, really, really good at. That could be world-class great. Every single human being on this planet. And the hard part is just finding what that is. And in some places, having resources to enable it. But be curious so you can find out what it is. I took one technology class in college, Fortran programming, and I cheated on it, right? I mean, it wasn't until I got a job at Mellon Bank and I started learning how to program in this thing called Ramus, this scripting computing language, that I realized, oh, this is interesting to me and I like it. And that's what got me, a job selling software and going on from there. You just don't know what that's going to be until you go out and experience different things. So for anybody young out there listening, enjoy your life, find things to smile about, be curious, read, watch, expose yourself to as many different ideas as you can, because something's going to click at some point. You may be 15, you may be 25, you may be 55, but it can happen.
One thing to mention is sometimes it's difficult, or your parents, people around you might not be conducive, or might not be of help in finding the thing you're good at. In fact, like in my own life, the society was such that I don't know if they've helped much at the thing I was good at. I'm still not sure what that is, but I think
interviewing done pretty well for you.
Well, it's not even, there was a thing where I saw the beauty in people. It very intensely. So you can call that empathy, all that kind of stuff. And
some would call it wokeness.
Super woke. I guess you could say just super woke. That's me. And but in the education system I came up in, it was a very hard mathematics, science and so on, and it didn't notice that, whatever that was in me. But you have to keep the flame going. You have to try to find your way and see what that's useful, and others around you might not always notice it, so it might take time. So it could be lonely. You can really have to find the strength to believe in yourself.
Oh, for sure. And I'll tell you one quick story. 1992. I went to Moscow State University to teach kids how to start businesses.
Wow.
Because I had sold micro solutions and I wanted to travel, and I took Russian in high school. My Ruski is like na хорошо.
Good enough to remember that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But it was interesting to me, and I bring it up because just they didn't know what the word profit meant, right? But at the same time, I would go around and meet people, and it was as entrepreneurial. Like right after the Soviet Union fell, entrepreneurship went through the roof. I mean, a lot of it was mafia driven, but it was, people found that spark. Because I think that is natural. And so you just never know when and how and when the circumstances will come together for you to be able to take advantage.
That spark is really important to comment on. Is in Russia and Ukraine, I think the system kind of suppresses that spark somehow. Because you said you saw the natural entrepreneurship, but there's not the entrepreneurial spirit once you grow up in both of the nations I mentioned. There is.
No, I believe it, right?
In Ukraine, but there's something about the system that kind of,
without question,
be reasonable, be
there would have been no reason for me to go over to do what I was doing if it was otherwise.
But that's the thing that really can help a country flourish.
It's going to be interesting with Ukraine if they're able to survive this, right? Because as horrific as it is, as you saw across Europe after World War II, the rebuilding creates opportunities.
Rebuilding creates opportunities, but first the war has to end. How that ends,
I don't know either.
Is a really complex path.